A very good evening to one and all. I welcome you all to this news analysis initiative. These are the articles that are very important from UPSC perspective. Without any further delay, let's move on to the first one. The first article for the day is Supreme Court gives CBI free hand to stop digital arrest scams. Why the Supreme Court took such an extraordinary step? Digital arrest scams have become a pan-India threat. These gangs operate across states, across bank accounts, and sometimes even from outside India. So, a single state police force simply cannot stop them. So, in this, the Supreme Court has identified three categories of cyber frauds. The first one, digital arrest scams. This is the most dangerous and fastest growing category. Here, scammers pretend to be police, CBI, enforcement officers or cyber officers. They tell victims, usually senior citizens, that their Aadhaar, bank account or parcel is linked to a crime. Then they force the victim to stay on a video call, threaten arrest and make them transfer money to safe accounts. This psychological manipulation is why it's called a digital arrest. The second one is fraudulent investment scams. These scams target people looking to earn quick returns. The fraudsters create fake apps or websites promising high daily profits, crypto returns. They show fake dashboards with rising profits, build trust, and suddenly disappear with the money. This is a major category because people fall for guaranteed high returns. The third one is fake part-time job scams. This is very common on WhatsApp, Telegram and social media. Victims are offered simple tasks like liking videos, rating restaurants, writing reviews or small data entry work. Initially they are paid rupees 50 to 200 to build trust. Later they are asked to invest money to unlock bigger tasks and that money is stolen. Many rackets run from outside India and victims have already lost more than rupees 3000 crore and most of them are senior citizens who panic when scammers pretend to be police or CBI officers. So, the court felt the harm was too big and too urgent to ignore. And another major problem is the complete breakdown in basic checks. Example, banks opening mule accounts, scammers using foreign servers. Because this crime is happening live, the court said delaying action would only increase the damage. That is why the Supreme Court has taken such a rare step. Now, what are the key directions of the Supreme Court? First one, CBI is given a free hand. Normally, the CBI needs a state permission to investigate. But here, the court used its extraordinary power and told states to give immediate consent. This shows the seriousness of the issue. The second one, mandatory state cooperation. State must allow CBI to operate within their jurisdiction under Section 6 of the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. So, no delays in this. Next one, use of AI and ML tools. Scammers move money through many mule accounts in seconds. Human investigation cannot catch this. So, the court told the CBI and RBI to use AI to detect unusual patterns, machine learning to track how money is layered, and real-time alerts to freeze fraudulent transfers. And next one, coordination with Interpol. Many scam centers are outside India, especially in cybercrime hubs abroad. Supreme Court wants CBI to work with global agencies to track them. The next one, tightening telecom regulations. The court criticized telecom companies for giving multiple SIMs without proper checks. Now, Department of Telecommunications must now create stricter rules so SIMs cannot be misused for scams. The next one, online intermediaries. They must assist under IT Rules 2021. Platforms like WhatsApp, Telegram, YouTube and payment apps must share data when required. The next one is strengthening I4C and regional centers. The court wants every state to activate regional cybercrime coordination centers and link them to the Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center. And this will help collect data, track patterns and stop scams before they spread. Now, what this case reveals about India's cybercrime governance, it shows there is a fragmented jurisdiction. Cybercrime does not respect state boundaries, but our policing structure still does. Yes, scammer in Jharkhand can loot someone in Kerala, and the two police forces may not coordinate effectively. The next one, weak regulatory enforcement. Many frauds happen because SIMs are issued without proper verification, mole bank accounts are opened easily, KYC norms are not properly enforced, so the system itself creates loopholes so that scammers exploit. Then there is slow institutional response. Most cyber cells lack trained personnel, forensic tools, and data analytics capacity. This makes investigations reactive instead of preventive. So, there is a need for tech driven policing. Old policing methods cannot handle AI driven scams. India needs policing that is based on real time data, predictive analytics, AI ML based monitoring. This shows that India's cybercrime ecosystem must evolve rapidly. The next article for the day is IIP in October slips to a 14-month low. Now, what is this IIP? The Index of Industrial Production is released by the National Statistical Office, which works under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Think of IIP as a monthly report card of how fast India's factories, mining sites, and power plants are producing goods. It measures the output of three big sectors: manufacturing, mining, and electricity. It is released every month by the Ministry of Statistics. Now, why this is important? Because it tells us how healthy the industrial part of the economy is. If IIP goes up, industries are producing more, so jobs and growth rise. If IIP goes down, production slows, economic growth weakens. The latest IIP numbers showed a slowdown. Industrial growth was only 0.4%. This is the slowest in the 14 months. And what dragged this down? The first is electricity output fell by 6.9%, consumer goods fell by 4.4%, manufacturing grew very weakly at 1.8%, mining has shrunken by 1.8%. This means factories produced fewer goods, households bought less, and electricity demand has dipped. The only thing that done well was infrastructure and construction goods, which grew around 7.1%. So overall, the IIP report says industrial momentum has weakened. The next article for the day is smartphone makers told to pre-install Sanchar Saathi. Sanchar Saathi app must be pre-installed on phones DOT. I have combined both these articles together. Now we will look into this. Now, the Department of Telecommunications has now made it compulsory for all smartphone manufacturers to pre-install this app on every new phone sold from March 2026. And importantly, companies cannot disable or limit any of the app's features. Now, why this move? The Sanchar Saathi is the government's main tool to fight mobile-related cybercrime, especially fraud using fake SIMs or tampered IMEI numbers. The app helps users to check if a phone's IMEI is genuine, identify how many SIMs are issued in their name, report scam calls, block a stolen phone remotely, verify if a second-hand phone is blacklisted. This is important because India has a huge second-hand mobile market and many stolen or cloned devices get resold. What problem is the government trying to solve? The DOT flagged a major security gap. Same IMEI being used on multiple devices across locations makes tracing cyber criminals very difficult. This order comes from DOT asked messaging apps to implement SIM binding. Now, what is the SIM binding? It means a messaging or calling app like WhatsApp, Telegram must work only if the SIM card linked to that account is active in the phone. Because scammers were doing this. They bought Indian SIMs using fake IDs, created accounts on messaging apps, removed the SIM, took the account abroad. They are now using the Indian numbers to run digital arrest scams, fraud calls, and impersonating police or CBI. Now with SIM binding, the account dies immediately when the SIM is gone. Scammers cannot use Indian numbers anonymously and it becomes harder to run cross-border frauds. And Sanchar Saathi gives authorities a way to trace and block this misuse. The next article for the day is Stalked, Doxed, Internet Turning into Nightmare for Delhi Women. The rise of digital platforms has created new spaces for expression, but it has also increased gender-based violence online. The first point is lived reality versus NCRB numbers. The NCRB data, National Crime Records Bureau data shows only 38 cybercrime cases against Delhi women, whereas Delhi recorded around 13,366 crimes against women. Many women face hundreds of abusive calls, rape threats, AI generated deepfakes, and casteist or communal slurs. But very few of these incidents become FIRs. So the data simply does not reflect the scale of the problem. The second one is why women don't report. A lot of women step back from filing formal complaints because there is fear, there is shame, and there is a lack of trust in the system. Some are even discouraged with remarks like don't reply to such men. So harassment ends up being erased instead of addressed. The third one is technology is making harassment more complex. Today it is not just about abusive messages. There are deep fakes, morphed images, fake profiles. The fourth one is institutional limitations. Cyber cells receive complaints every day, but many lack manpower and advanced forensic tools. Police focus on removing harmful content within 36 hours, but this reactive approach doesn't punish offenders. There is still no strong victim-centric mechanism for women facing digital violence. There is a word doxed, which means someone's private information is exposed publicly on the internet without their consent. The next article for the day is ED issues notice to Kerala CM in KIFB Masala Bond probe. We will take the keyword Masala Bond. What is Masala Bond? Masala bonds are rupee denominated bonds issued abroad by Indian entities to raise funds internationally, with foreign investors bearing the currency risk. We will simplify it. Masala bonds are rupee denominated bonds issued outside India. This means the borrower is Indian. The money is raised abroad, but the repayment is in Indian rupees, not in foreign currency. So, the currency risk is on the investor, not on India. Why they are important? Because it helps Indian companies or government raise foreign money without worrying about exchange rate swings. And it promotes the international use of the Indian rupee. Also, it diversify funding sources. For example, if the Delhi Metro issues a Masala bond in London, foreign investors give money, but Delhi Metro will repay them in rupees. The next article for the day is the new action plan on AMR needs a shot in the arm. Antimicrobial resistance is rising in humans, animals, agriculture, aquaculture, food systems and the environment. Antibiotics are used anywhere, farms, hospitals, wastewater. It creates resistant bacteria that spread everywhere. So, AMR is a One Health problem, not just a hospital problem. We already had National Antimicrobial Plan 1.0, which was from 2017 to 23. Now, what are the achievements of this first AMR plan? The first plan was India's real starting point for fighting antimicrobial resistance. It became a national priority. Before 2017, AMR was seen mainly as a hospital issue, whereas this plan helped everyone, doctors, policymakers, farmers realize that AMR is a major public health threat. The second one, better lab networks and surveillance. India expanded laboratory systems to detect resistant infections faster. This meant better data on which antibiotics were failing and where. The third one is it adopted One Health approach. For the first time, India officially acknowledged that AMR spreads not just through humans but also through animals, farms, food, water and environment. The next one is it promoted rational antibiotic use. The plan pushed hospitals and doctors to reduce unnecessary antibiotic prescriptions and improve infection control. However, there were some limitations in this action plan. Only 7 to 8 states created their own AMR action plans and most did not implement them. So, national ideas existed but state level action was missing. Now, what this National Action Plan Antimicrobial Resistance 2.0 says? The first one is clear timelines and responsibilities. Unlike the first plan, this one says exactly who must do what and by when. The second one, stronger One Health coverage. It focuses on how AMR spreads through food supply chains, aquaculture, that is fish farming, waste disposal systems and environmental pollution. The third one is integrated surveillance systems. Human health, animal health, agriculture and environment surveillance will now talk to each other instead of working separately. The next one is private sector is included. Since most Indians get treatment in the private sector, hospitals, pharmacies, bringing them into this AMR framework is essential. The next one is innovation. This plan promotes rapid diagnostic tools, point of care tests, alternatives to antibiotics, also environmental monitoring. The next one is the oversight has shifted to Niti Aayog. A high level coordination and monitoring committee will ensure strong national level supervision. The next one is states must create AMR cells. Now, all states and UTs are expected to have dedicated teams and state action plans, unlike the past. However, there are still some persistent gaps. The first one is there is no binding mechanism for state compliance. Because states are not required to notify AMR plans, there is no legal or statutory force. The second one is AMR determinants lie still within the state powers. That is key areas like hospital infection control and hygiene, pharmacy regulation, over the counter sale of antibiotics. These are all under state government's control. The center cannot enforce these goals if states do not act. The next one is fragmented departments because different departments work in silos. Health, animal husbandry, agriculture all work in silos, but we want an integrated and a coordinated mechanism. So, what should be done? The first one, we need to create a national state AMR council, a formal body led by the Union Health Minister and should be supported by Niti Aayog. This will allow us to monitor regularly joint decision making and problem solving across sectors. Second point, make state AMR action plans mandatory. That is, state must be officially asked to notify their AMR plans, set timelines and report the annual progress. Third point, we have to provide financial incentives. Even small conditional grants can motivate states to strengthen labs, improve surveillance and enhance infection control. The fourth one is we have to build capacity and integrate this One Health because state need training and strong coordination. The next article for the day is the need for heart resilient urban planning. What is the core message of the article? Indian cities face an invisible health crisis, a sharp rise in heart disease and diabetes, especially among people below 50 years. The reasons are long commutes, which is in cities people spend 1 to 3 hours every day stuck in traffic or traveling long distances. So this makes their physical activity drops, weight increases and blood pressure rises. This combination increases the risk of diabetes, hypertension and heart attacks. The second one, air pollution directly affects the heart. City air contains high levels of particulate matter 2.5, mainly from vehicles, factories and construction. The third one is lack of green spaces. Cities have more concrete and fewer trees. Concrete absorbs heat and they form urban heat islands. So this high temperature make the heart work harder, and it is especially dangerous for elderly and people with existing conditions. The next one is unequal healthcare. Hospitals built for profit and not need. Private hospitals decide locations based on profits, not population health needs. Therefore, wealthy areas get multiple hospitals while poorer areas remain underserved. And there is no health lens in planning because cities were designed for cars, real estate growth, fast development, not for walking, clean air, physical activity, or public health. So, the design itself increases lifestyle diseases. So, what is heart resilient urban planning? Pillar 1, walkability and active mobility. Cities should provide safe, broad, shaded footpaths, cycle lanes, safe pedestrian crossings. This makes walking and cycling comfortable, reduces obesity, diabetes, and BP. The second pillar, green infrastructure, including parks, urban forests, tree-lined streets, which will benefit through lowering temperature, improving the air quality, and reducing stress. Pillar 3 is mixed land use. Homes, offices, markets, and parks should be close to each other. This reduces commute time, car dependence, and pollution. The fourth pillar is public transport. Clean and efficient transport systems like metro, electric buses, e-rickshaws. This reduces traffic, emissions, and daily stress. The fifth pillar is healthy food ecosystem. Cities should support fresh food markets, community gardens, and regulation of junk food ads. Tackling the invisible urban threats like PM 2.5 pollution, urban heat islands, poor water and waste management, and there is a big warning which shows that Asia may see a 91% jump in heart related deaths by 2050. So all these things needs to be removed. So what we need is heart health has to be integrated into the ongoing missions like National Urban Health Mission, Smart Cities Mission, AMRUT, then Asian Development Bank's $10 billion urban investment plan, which can be used to fund for healthy city design. And we also need a collaboration among various ministries like health ministry, state governments, urban planners, civil society. All these can ensure cities are built for well-being. The next article for the day is Capturing Urban Dynamism in the 2027 Census. The 2027 census is going to be far more digital than before, and enumerators will use mobile apps, buildings will be geotagged, and the whole process will be monitored in real time. And right now, India uses a very old definition from 2011. It says an area is urban only if it has a certain population, certain density, and most people do non-farm work. But the problem is India has changed a lot. World Bank says around 55% of people lived in urban-like areas in 2010, but census recorded only 31%. So we are undercounting India's urban reality. Between cities and villages, there is a transition space. We call it peri-urban. These are villages slowly becoming towns. New houses, malls, industries, but still under rural governance. So what happens? They grow chaotically without proper water, sewage, transport or planning. If census recognizes these areas, we can guide their development better. The United Nations says, stop the simple urban versus rural split. Use degree of urbanization. That is 3 categories: urban, peri-urban and rural. This gives a much more realistic picture. The 2027 census can easily adopt this approach. For example, Delhi is one city, but in reality, Delhi, Gurugram, Noida, Ghaziabad, Faridabad function as one giant metro area. People live in one place, work in another, shop in a third. but census counts them separately because they fall in different states. So the true scale of Delhi is lost. So recognizing such agglomerations helps plan transport, jobs and services better. What can Census 2027 do? It can use a spatial map based approach, that is, create a digital map portal that shows growth patterns, density and service gaps. This helps government see where are people actually living and expanding. The second one, use a 1 kilometer grid. Instead of relying only on changing municipal boundaries, use static grids. This makes long-term comparisons much easier. The third one, protect privacy. That is, show blended indicators. For example, highlight underserved areas without exposing caste or income details. The next one, link with platforms like Gati Shakti. This allows infrastructure, logistics and planning to use census data directly. Now, why this matters for India? Because Indian cities are growing rapidly even though the fertility is falling. If we don't map the growth properly, we will misallocate funds, misplan housing and fail to support this new urban populations. A spatially aware census will help to plan new towns, reduce slums, improve transport, target welfare better, and strengthen climate resilience. The next article for the day is, why does India need bioremediation? Bioremediation basically means using living organisms to clean pollution. Microbes like bacteria, fungi, algae, and even plants are used to break down toxic chemicals such as oil, pesticides, plastics or heavy metals. They eat the pollutants and convert them into harmless things like water, carbon dioxide or simple organic acids. In the case of metals, they can convert them into forms that don't leak into soil or groundwater. Now, what are the types of bioremediation? There are two types, in situ and ex situ. In situ, cleaning happens at the polluted site itself, like spraying oil-eating bacteria directly on an ocean oil spill. And ex situ bioremediation means polluted soil or water is removed, cleaned in a facility and then put back. Example, treating toxic soil in a bioreactor. Traditional microbiology finds natural microbes that clean pollution, but now biotechnology adds new power to this. Scientists can identify special enzymes or molecules that degrade pollutants. Like genetically modified microbes can be designed to break tough pollutants like plastics or oil residues. These microbes can be grown in large amounts and deployed in sewage plants, landfills, etc. Now, why does India urgently need bioremediation? Because India's rapid industrialization meant huge environmental contamination. Rivers like Ganga and Yamuna receive untreated sewage and industrial waste directly. And oil spills, pesticide residues and heavy metals pollute soil as well as groundwater. And these traditional cleanup methods are very costly and they are highly energy intensive. This bioremediation is cheaper, scalable, eco-friendly. Currently, bioremediation in India is growing, but still mostly in pilot projects. Various initiatives like Department of Biotechnology's Clean Technology Program, then CSIR NEERI's Research and Implementation of Bioremediation. Several IITs have come up with innovations like cotton-based nanomaterials for oil spill cleanups. If we take global best practices, Japan is integrating microbial and plant bioremediation into city waste management. European Union funds cross-border microbe-based cleanup projects for oil spills and mining sites. And India can learn from these models. What are the opportunities for India? Bioremediation can support big missions like Swachh Bharat Mission, Namami Gange, urban wastewater treatment and industrial site cleanups. So, what is the way forward? That is, we have to create national bioremediation standards specifying clear guidelines for what microbes to use and how. We have to build regional bioremediation hubs. Third, we have to strengthen biosafety regulations, especially for genetically modified microbes. Fourth one, public awareness. People must understand that microbes can be allies in cleaning India. The next article for the day is, can India become self-reliant in rare earth elements production? Now, recently the government has cleared a 7,280 crore scheme to manufacture rare earth permanent magnets inside India. These magnets are essential for EV motors, wind turbines, electronics, missiles and drones. The idea is to create a fully integrated supply chain, and right now India imports almost everything. And this move becomes important because China is tightening exports, creating global shortages. The rare earth elements are 17 minerals that are critical for modern technology. And even though China has only 30% of world's reserves, it controls 70% of global production and 90% of global processing. Now, India wants to become a manufacturing hub, and that depend on rare earth magnets. But the problem is, India imported 53,000 tons of REEs magnets in 24-25. India has 8% of global reserves, mostly in monazite sands in Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Tamil Nadu and Kerala, and yet we produce less than 1% of global output. So, the gap is huge. However, we have schemes like National Critical Mineral Mission 24 to 31, and the outlay is 34,300 crores, which includes exploration, processing, refining and recycling. The second one is opening private participation. Until August 2023, private industry was excluded from rare earths. Now, auctions and exploration licenses have begun. The third, there is a push for recycling. Now, Indian companies are planning large facilities to extract rare earths from e-waste, motors and end-of-life electronics. However, there are challenges. The first one is refining infrastructure missing. India can mine monazite easily, but refining and separation are the real bottlenecks. The second one, skilled labor and R&D gaps. China built capability over decades. India is just beginning now. Third, heavy government control. Experts say excessive regulation slows exploration and investment. And the fourth one, long gestation period. Rare earth supply chains take 5 to 10 years to mature. Despite all these, India's rare earth scheme is a strategic move to reduce dependence on China, secure clean energy supply chains and build domestic capability across mining, processing, magnet manufacturing and recycling. The next article for the day is Bioterrorism, a serious threat. What is bioterrorism? Bioterrorism is the intentional release of viruses, bacteria, toxins or other harmful biological agents to cause illness, fear or death among people, animals or plants. This is the definition. Now, why this is dangerous? Because these agents multiply rapidly and they can trigger epidemics or pandemics, and it is hard to detect early, so it is a silent spread and it is a low cost high impact thing. It can also collapse hospitals and essential services and can create economic, social and psychological disruption. There is a convention associated with it. It is known as Biological Weapons Convention. It is an international treaty that bans the development, production, stockpiling and use of biological and toxin weapons. It is the world's multilateral disarmament treaty banning an entire class of weapons. The next two articles, regional languages and government schools, we will just take the data points which are important. The first article says 5 years after National Education Policy 2020, only 16% of Kendriya Vidyalayas, that is 226 out of 1405, offer regional language education in 10 languages. Okay. The second article says government schools in India have declined from 10.32 lakhs to 10.13 lakhs according to UDIS Plus data. At the same time, the number of schools with fewer than 10 or 0 enrollments has sharply risen from 52,300 to over 65,000 in the last 3 years. And the teacher numbers in these low enrollment schools have increased from 1.26 lakhs to 1.44 lakh. The next article for the day is farmers cannot be made scapegoats for air pollution in national capital. Supreme Court has said that. Now, the Supreme Court basically told the authorities stop blaming only farmers for Delhi's pollution because the numbers don't support that narrative. Now, what is that numbers? Stubble burning cases fell sharply from 88,000 earlier to just 5,500 now. That is a huge drop. Yet, Delhi's pollution has not improved much. During COVID times, stubble burning still happened, but vehicles were off the roads and the sky was blue and clear. Okay. So, the court asked a very direct question. If stubble burning continued during COVID and still the air was clean, then what is the real problem now? Now, the Supreme Court has asked the authorities to look at other major pollution sources like vehicle emissions, road dust, construction debris, because these contribute heavily to Delhi's smog. The next article for the day is Centre seeks parliamentary nod for additional 41,000 crores spent. It specified supplementary demand for grants. Now, what is this supplementary demand? It is when the government asks Parliament for extra money after the budget has already been passed. Think of it like this. The government makes a budget for the year, which is demand for grants. During the year, expenses turn out to be more than expected. So, the government goes back to Parliament and says, we need additional funds to cover these extra expenses. This request is called supplementary demand for grants. The next article for the day is manufacturing slips to 9-month low in November. PMI shows. Now, what is this PMI? PMI is Purchasing Managers Index. It is a quick monthly survey of companies to check if business activity is rising or falling. And there is a number above 50 means industry is growing. Below 50 means industry is shrinking. The next article for the day is CAD moderates to $12.3 billion in Q2. Here the CAD means current account deficit, which means India is importing more than it is exporting. It shows that money is flowing out of the country because we buy more goods, services or make more payments abroad than we receive. Just know what is current account deficit. It is more than enough from this article. The next article for the day is small cars will be wiped out if emission norms unscientific. In this article, there was a keyword CAFE 3. What is this CAFE 3? The CAFE 3, Corporate Average Fuel Efficiency. It is a draft. This wants car companies to make cleaner, more fuel efficient vehicles. UPSC may ask such terms in prelims, so just be aware. CAFE 3, it is related to fuel efficiency. That means companies must reduce pollution per kilometer across all the cars they sell. The next article for the day is the science, technology and pitfalls of using nuclear power in space. This is a very interesting one. See, as nations plan sustained human presence on the moon and Mars, reliable power becomes a strategic necessity. Solar energy is limited because of long lunar nights, dust storms and weak sunlight beyond the Earth orbit. And this has revived the interest in nuclear power in space. What is the existing system? Which is radioisotope thermoelectric generators. These have already powered missions like Voyager and Curiosity, and they convert radioactive decay heat into electricity, and it is very much reliable in darkness as well as dust, but it produces only a few hundred watts. The second one is compact fission reactors. It is the size of a shipping container and it can produce around 10 to hundreds of kilowatts, and it is useful for setting up bases and habitats in Mars. The third one is the nuclear propulsion. Propulsion means the technology that moves a spacecraft. It is like the engine that helps rockets or spacecraft travel. In that, there are two things: nuclear thermal propulsion, that is, it heats hydrogen propellant, which ensures faster Mars missions. The second one is nuclear electrical propulsion. It is a reactor generated electricity which powers ion thrusters, and it is ideal for deep space cargo. However, there are certain concerns. The first one is the legal vacuum. The 1992 UN Principles on Nuclear Power Sources are non-binding, and they cover only electricity producing reactors and exclude the propulsion systems. Okay. The second one is the treaty gaps. The Outer Space Treaty, which bans nuclear weapons in orbit but not nuclear reactors for peaceful use. The next one is the Liability Convention, which is unclear about accidents beyond Earth orbit. No binding norms for end of life disposal, preventing contamination of celestial bodies. And there is also environmental and safety risks. That is, reactor accidents could contaminate the pristine lunar and Martian environments. So what we should do is we have to update this 1992 UN principles to include these propulsion systems and introduce binding safety standards. And we have to create an global oversight body for space nuclear reactors, and should develop environmental protocols for safe launch, operation and disposal. For India, we can also leverage by ISRO and Department of Atomic Energy collaboration to build indigenous reactors, and we can also play our role in shaping the global norms related to this. The last article for the day is Trump confirms call with Maduro, Venezuela slams US preparations for attack. This Venezuela, Caribbean Sea, it's been continuously in news. Please look into the map, it is very much important. You must be looking into the physical map of Venezuela also. There is this lake Maracaibo, Gulf of Venezuela, Paragona Peninsula, then river Orinoco, then Gulf of Paria, and this is the Trinidad and Tobago, where US and these islands held an operation recently. Okay. The next one which is important is the countries bordering the Caribbean Sea. Very important. If you take the Caribbean Sea, I have marked in red what are the countries that are bordering: Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, Belize, Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. Please look into the countries that are bordering Caribbean Sea. Very important from UPSC prelims perspective. That's all for today. Thank you all for joining.